Hey everybody, welcome back to Diesel Creek. My name's Matt. Well, I did it again. We are loaded up and rolling down the highway and the old tow pig here because I found another deal that I just could not walk away from. I really didn't even want it, but that kind of twisted my arm. The tire shop I use has been pestering me every time I go in there for about the last maybe year or so, saying, oh, we got a couple old tire trucks sitting back there on the lot. We'd really like to move them, you know, make some space and blah, blah, blah. And I didn't really have that much interest in them, so I kind of put it off. Finally, I just shot them a number, and they said, okay. So now, I got a few tire trucks to go get. All of them have knuckle boom cranes on them, which is kind of cool, but that's not the focus of today's video. While I was down there picking up these trucks, I noticed that they had a double drum roller sitting there on the lot. Why on earth the tire shop has something with no tires on it, beyond me. But I inquired about it, and I was told that for $350, it could be mine. I did not want said roller, but now I own said roller. Let's go check it out. What have I gotten myself into? Well, there she is. This sucker is heavy. I don't know that much about it. That star that's welded up there means that it was owned by the same company that owned my Caterpillar D8. So that's a pretty cool tidbit of history with it. Let's get this thing home. Well, we survived the ride. The old Ford pulled it like a champ. This truck is scary good at making heavy things seem like they're not back there. But anyway, we did make it home, so let's get this thing unloaded. I sent a picture of this thing to one of my buddies earlier, and he said, man, you're just a glutton for punishment with those rollers, aren't you? Ugh, some people can just really, really sting you with the truth, can't they? Why didn't you guys say anything? I can't see this side. Slight little scuff there, but you know, that'll buff out. It's kind of neat, but ultimately it's just a big heavy lug that's not really worth much to anybody except the scrapyard. The thing with a roller like this is that it is pretty much useless on anything other than flat or close to flat surfaces. It's not very maneuverable. It doesn't like to turn real well. For dirt work, it's pretty much completely useless unless you have perfect conditions, which that almost never happens. And as far as collectability goes, well, I see these things come up for sale all the time, and I don't think there's any shortage of them. So in addition to being owned by the company that once owned my D8, according to this plaque here, this machine was sold and serviced by Highway Equipment Co., Pittsburgh, PA. They are still in business, and in fact, they still use the same plaques on all their machines. So I thought that was a pretty cool little tidbit. I think I have another machine too that may have came from Highway. I can't remember what it is right now, but yeah, I have no use for this thing at the moment, and I have better things to work on, but let's go ahead and dive on in anyways. I have not looked at this thing any more than you guys have so far. I just saw what it was, and then when the guy told me 350 bucks, I just said sold, because, well, you don't really need to look at it at that price. It's just kind of, it's kind of good enough. Whatever it is good enough for 350 bucks. So I believe we have either a Continental or a Waukesha gas engine in here. Oh yeah, the guy told me he was gonna get it running on a temporary tank, so I'd imagine that's his temporary tank. So this is kind of a neat setup here, the way they have this gearbox run. You got your output shaft coming out of the gearbox, it runs into this gearbox, and I believe it spins a bevel gear on each side of the output shaft, and then you just engage whichever side clutch you need. So one's forward, one's reverse. So these clutches work just like one of my friction machines, like on a cable hoe or my shovel. So there you go, you just dog it in and dog it out. But when you dog out this side, it has a neutral position like right there, but then you just pull back some more on that same lever and it dogs in the reverser. So pretty neat little setup, actually. Something like this kind of follows the KISS method, whereas keep it simple, you know, there's really not much going on in there, so that's great. This guy right here, following the linkage up, not sure exactly where it goes, that small lever right there, I believe connects to this linkage right here, which looks like it could be a high and low gear, so that's pretty cool. Got a well, I hope you guys just saw that. We kind of snapped our latch off. It was dying anyways. Got a radiator access cover over here. Not much else you can get to from this side, I guess. I don't know if you guys can tell too, the core support is completely rotted out down there, and the radiator is leaning like the Tower of Pisa. But this guy should flip up here and give us some access to the engine. Oh, look, a data plaque. I'll have to clean that up and see if I can make out a model number. There's a good toolbox. I'll just patch that right up with some JB Weld. Oh yeah, that's an engine in there. Not feeling real good about it so far. That right there is our exhaust manifold, and that kind of looks suspiciously like rust jacked or frost heaved casting, and it's moist around there, like it's got water coming out of it. If that's the case, that means that this whole engine is probably full of water and probably scrap. Boy, I hate using that word, but that's a bad sign. I have not even checked this thing to see if it turns over, nothing. So if it's full of water, well, I think she's heading to the scrapyard. It's definitely a through hole. Knife goes all the way in there, but I guess the only upside is that water didn't start pouring out of it, so it's not that full if there is water in there. I'm not holding high hopes here. You know, I didn't figure there would be, but no antifreeze. Hydraulic reservoir up here on the deck. The guy told me he put a new hydraulic line on this thing the last time he messed with it. Oh yeah, there's nothing on that stick. I'm also not surprised. This is your steering valve. Ah, there we go. Control station here. So we got push button to start. I don't know what these do. That's an oil pressure gauge. That's an amp meter. I assume that's a throttle, but I don't know. Some sort of switch deal. Got an interstate battery, probably junk. Still not positive what kind of engine this is. I'm not super familiar with these old gas jobs. Pull the engine dipstick, see what we got there. Yeah, I'm thinking this thing's scrap. It's way over full and it's got water in it. I doubt this engine turns over, but we're gonna go give it a shot. All right, we're just gonna go ahead right for the throat. I'm bypassing all the electronicals. Jump it straight onto the starter, if I can reach down there that far. Like I said, I don't have high hopes here. Contact! Oh, it tried to move. It's not completely locked. There might be hope for this old girl. I'm gonna pull all the plugs out of it, see if we can't get it to turn over with a bar. Well, I think I forgot to hit the record button there, but the plugs themselves don't look all that bad. A little bit of oxidation on some of them, but down inside the cylinders, not looking so hot. A couple of them pretty rusted, especially this number 1 down here. All right, well, there, all the plugs are out. I think really only number 1 looks super bad, but this one had some water in it too, so I'm sure it's not great either. Can we make this thing turn? Oh yeah. Oh yeah, she turns. That's good. That's great. It's tight though. No doubt about that. Starter generator rubs a bit. Finally getting to use this chain wrench that somebody sent me. The fellow that sent it sent a whole bunch of stuff. Super generous guy. By the way, I'm not asking for gifts or anything like that, but people do that, and I really appreciate it when viewers send me stuff like this, and I try to always send back a nice letter with some stickers. This guy, whoever sent me this, there was no return address. I couldn't give you the proper thanks, so you know who you are, and thank you. All right, let's see if this thing's gonna turn over with a battery now, because that was spinning okay. Contact. Yeah, yeah, get you some. Yeah, that's sounding better. Let's get some oil down in these holes, huh? Contact. Oh yeah, that seems fine. I think this this connection over here is supposed to smoke, isn't it? Part of the instructions. It definitely appreciated the oil. Might have to hook the truck up to this thing, get some more juice to it, the jump pack. Seems like it's wearing down. But yeah, that's a vast improvement. Definitely better than I thought it was going to be. We get some fuel to this thing and some spark, we might have some fire here. All right, we're doing a little spark check here. You guys probably aren't going to be able to see anything, but if I get zapped, you'll know. Contact. No spark. I didn't figure there would be. Easy enough to get to on this unit. Pop off this guy, that guy, that guy, and there's our breaker points right here, and I'm sure that they need a good cleaning. All right, let's see what we got with that. Yeah, I can see just a teeny little bit of spark at the points, so we know we're making good contact. Let's stick all these plug wires back on here. I did also, aside from just cleaning the points, I ran a temporary hot wire up here to the coil because I wasn't getting power up here. No matter what position I had any of these switches up here in, so. First, our dust cover, our rotor. You got to look at these things too when you're putting these back in. This rotor can get kind of fouled up right there too. Go ahead and hit it with the emery real quick just to make sure we got a nice clean surface there. But it looks pretty good. Same with these contacts underneath the cap here. They look fairly oxidized. Just hit them with the emery real quick, try to knock off the heavy corrosion. Alright, we got to figure these plug wires back out. One thing nice about these engines, these old engines always seem to have the firing order cast right into the block of the head. In this case, our firing order is 153624. So, I think this longest one goes out here to number 1. 1. Come back to 5. 3. Alright, and I believe we got all our plug wires figured out here. Got the coil wire attached. We should have spark and ready to go. Now we just need to figure out our fuel situation. Alright, well I just can't help myself. I gotta give it a little whiff of ether and just see if it's gonna light at all. Just a little whiff. Guys ready? Contact! We had a couple pops. That starter is not happy. There we go. Something tells me we need more juice. All right, contact. I don't know, it's really like we're just not getting enough juice to this thing. Bad connections are definitely plaguing us because, I mean, that one down there is smoking as soon as you start cranking on it. I'm gonna go ahead and pull the truck over here and get some extra angry pixies thrown at this thing. Alright, we rigged up a temporary fuel tank here, got it plumbed in. Just gravity feeding over the carburetor. There is an electric fuel pump down there, but I cannot get it to run. I've put hot wire straight to it, nothing. So we've got all kind of mess going on here with hoses and cables and everything, but I think we're ready to try and get this thing lit off. I think I have the choke closed. I'm just going to go ahead and give her a little tickle. Yep, we got spinach. All right, see if we got any jam here. Contact. Not liking it. I also don't know anything about this throttle control, whether we're in high throttle, low throttle, anything like that, so that's another issue. We'll give it a little whiff from the ether bunny. See what that does for it. Contact. Not a fan. Yeah, I think we're just still not getting this thing to crank over fast enough, but cleaning up this connection definitely helped. Yeah, that thing's not even getting hot now. That's good. Contact. Man, spinning over pretty good now, but still just not getting the fire I want. I've heard a few pops, so I know that we have spark, although plugs like that could be an issue. We also could have some valves sticking, although I could see one valve in every cylinder, and they were all moving up and down. Whether they're sealing or not's a whole nother issue, but they're moving. Of course, we haven't dove into the carburetor at all. I'm just kind of hoping that it works. I tapped on the bowl quite a bit with a little light tappy tap on the bowl. Sometimes you'll break the float loose if it's kind of stuck. If the carburetor's real gummed up though, then that's not really going to matter. So we may be trying in vain, but we're trying. Ruh-roh. I can see our coil is failing us. It was getting hot. There's a resistor here, so maybe I'm supposed to have reduced voltage. I don't know. Contact. Oh, we got some poppage. Sounds better, it's just not happy about something. It's like it hits a... It's like it wants to fire and stops it. Contact. This is really bumming me out. I was really hoping this thing was going to light off. Alright. I pulled the intake hose off and there was water and a ton of nasty smelling fuel just built up in that intake pipe. So it drained out the intake of the carburetor, and maybe we'll have a better chance at running this thing now. Contact. Oh, it's so much happier. It might have actually been hydro-locking before it was like sucking up that much liquid. Well, I'm not happy about it, but we got fuel going to the carburetor, we've got spark, we've got compression, but when I pull the plugs out and check it, we're not getting any fuel to the plugs. So the carburetor is most likely our culprit there. That looks like a Schebler carburetor from here. The problem is here is a long way from there, and getting in there looks like trouble. I'm gonna have to crawl underneath the machine, I think, to even get in there. It's gonna be a good time. Now you may ask yourselves the question, why did he build a nice shop and then park something out back behind it and work in the dirt? And that's a fair question. And if you come up with an answer, I would like you to drop a comment down below and let me know, because at the moment, I have no idea. Bottom line is there's no great way to get in here. It would be better if I was on concrete though. The choke is completely frozen. I was kind of using my fingers as a choke though for a while, trying to draw fuel up. But I don't know that it's even getting fuel. I blew through the fuel line with compressed air before I put fuel to it in an attempt to open up the float valve. Don't know if it worked or not. I'm pretty sure it was dripping fuel out of the intake hole, and if it's doing that, it should mean it's getting fuel. Top 5 worst places I've ever had to crawl in and out of. Ugh. Even if I was in on the concrete, you couldn't fit a creeper under here. You barely fit my gut under here. Oh, that's where I came from. There's the ticket. There's the prize for going in there. Looks like we got us a Marvel Schebler. I don't see a model on it anywhere, but she's pretty nasty. Yeah. Let's see if we can't give this thing the tailgate rebuild. Float's still good. Everything in here is remarkably clean for looking like it does. Might have had some junk clogging up our inlet here. All right, well, I mean, amazingly, everything looks pretty darn good in here. I guess we're ready to put this thing back. Got the carburetor reinstalled. I actually changed out this coil as well because the other one looked like it had burned up. It had an external resistor and I kind of bypassed it, so I think I smoked it. So hopefully we got some stronger spark now. I don't hear gas pouring everywhere, so we didn't do too bad. The control cable for the chocolator is rusted up, so I still got to do it by hand. Contact. Yeah, things are still not going great here. No signs of life. We had better luck yesterday. Contact! Come on! What the heck? Oh, come on. Maybe we have an intake valve hung open or something, and it's allowing compression to blow the fuel back up out of the carburetor, because I'm getting strong whiffs of raw fuel, but that doesn't mean anything conclusively. When I put my hand over the end of the carburetor, it is sucking, so we have some vacuum. This is one of those annoying ones that on paper should be a home run real easy, but for some reason is annoyingly difficult. Contact. And we are getting nothing. I don't get it.
I just hooked it right to the coil. Look, got it.
Contact. That's the wrong side. Alright, yeah, we're jumping.
It did not sound uber happy.
It's not. Well.
How about that control box?
The starter will not spin that engine over fast enough. The engine probably has really low compression from having water in it. I'm betting the rings are all seized and stuck, so we need to spin it over extra fast to make up for our loss of compression to get it to fire. So we're going to try to accomplish that by bump starting it effectively. We should be able to push the unit, thus driving the drum back through the drivetrain to the motor, spinning it over extra fast, and hopefully it fires up. Well, it's like kind of sort of running, but not enough to run on its own. Like, the exhaust is actually hot to the touch. Like, it's burning some fuel, but maybe the valves are too messed up to keep it running or something. Well, here we are, almost a year later, I think, and we're gonna attempt to finally get this thing running. I think it's just poor valves, not sealing, probably a couple stuck valves. So we're gonna go ahead and yank this head off of here. That really shouldn't take much. That's one thing nice about a flathead. Basically just the bolts and the distributor and head should come off. We should be able to smack the valves back down, free them up, slap it back together, and it's just gonna fire right up, right? Yep. Ooh, we got a geyser. I didn't think there was any antifreeze in it. We'll have to drain that out and be right back. Am I missing something here? Oh, it's a stud.
Oh, figures. We don't need that.
Nope. Didn't even break my gasket. Oh, she's moving. Just a little tappy tap.
Look at that.
That's interesting. It's not like most distributors. Most distributors have a gear down there that you have to get timed right. This one can only go 1 or 180, I guess. It doesn't matter which way that thing goes. You just turn it up top.
Nice.
All right. Oh. Nasty. So cylinders number 1 and 2, the cylinders look halfway decent, but there's definitely a lot of debris in there, a lot of junk. The valve could be stuck right here. We're gonna go ahead and try to spin it over now and watch the valves and see if this was all worth it. Contact. What the heck? The valves all seem to be valving. Why was it not running? So what we found is that was predominantly a waste of time. All the valves are doing their thing. You can definitely see that the cylinders are not super happy. Definitely got some scoring. She's not exactly a high performance spec though, so really it should still run, it should still function and do what it needs to do like this. It's just not pretty. So we're cleaning everything up again. We're just going to slap the head back on, and I guess we're going to try this whole thing again. All right, so we got our head all reassembled and back on, torqued to spec, and we're about to install the distributor again. And the way this distributor works is there's you can see that slot down here on that distributor pole, let's call it, and then on the actual bottom of the distributor you have a matching thingy that goes in that slot, and you really can't get it wrong. It can only be either in time or 180 degrees out of time. And actually, I didn't know that that's the way it worked. There's a chance that somebody had this thing together wrong and it's 180 degrees out of time. So we're basically just taking our chances with it right now. We're gonna see if it works, and then if it doesn't, we'll pull it back off, switch it, and then try again. All right, everything's back together. Upon reassembling the distributor and connecting the plug wires, I think I found a couple of the plug wires were out of sequence. So I don't remember if I checked that before or not. I might have just assumed that they were good and not actually gone through the whole sequence. So there's a chance it's going to be happier this time. All right, I got the fuel on. Mike is holding the choke closed. Let's see what happens here. Much as I suspected, nothing. Okay, we just went through and changed the plug wires up again. We pulled the number 1 plug out, timed it to top dead center number 1, and then ran the plug wires anew. Hopefully we have it in time this time. Contact. Oh, buddy! All right, we have to change some things up a bit because right now it's only getting power to the coil when I'm cranking on the starter. So I think we got her. By golly, this thing's going to be a runner. All right, I think I have things wired up now to where it should work. Got our high-tech ignition system rigged up here. I think this one's for all the marbles and the cream cheese as well. Contact. Heck yeah, baby! It actually sounds like it runs halfway decent. Look at the smoke. Oh yeah, just burning off all that coolant from when we drained the head there. That is awesome. I did not dream it was going to run that well. I'm pretty darn impressed, really. It sprayed all kind of water all over my arm from that hole in the exhaust there. Little JB weld, that'll be good as new, don't you worry about that. Sweet, I'm pretty impressed. We've got to find a way to a little bit more dependably rig this thing up to run now. And I also have to put some water back in it because we didn't refill it with coolant. That's why I shut it off. I was afraid to let it run very long. But anyway, let's jam some coolant in this thing, and maybe we can finally try to take this thing for a spin. Not even leaking. Or that leaked down that far and it seems nothing left of it. We figured out the throttle situation, got her tamed down a bit. I cannot believe how good this thing is actually running, guys. Alright, well this lever right here is supposed to be your hydraulic steering, but it's not doing anything. You can see the chrome for the rod back here. I'm betting that's on account of it probably doesn't have any hydraulic oil. Yep, looks like she's bone dry in there. We'll throw a gallon in and see what happens. Okay, so we got this thing pretty much ready to try to move it now. We got some things rearranged, got a battery up here on the floorboard. I don't have any steering, unfortunately. There's a blown hydraulic hose, and we're just not going to be able to steer. But I don't think I want to invest the money of a hydraulic hose into this thing. I got a guy that already wants to buy it, and I just need to make sure it moves. If it moves, we know it'll steer. That's not really a big deal. Just fix the hydraulic hose. So let's try to get this thing fired up and see if it's actually going to drive. Can I get a contact? She needs a whiff, Mike. It refuses to start without a little whiff of ether. Doesn't take much, just enough. Contact. Well, it kept stalling out and was acting like it was starving for fuel. And we checked our little fuel cell here, and that could be the issue. This fuel line has actually like deteriorated on the inside. It kind of collapsed. I've never seen it do that before, but it's not letting fuel go through anymore. We'll put some new hose on it, and I bet you we'll be off to the races.
Oh yeah, you're spinning her now. Nope. Oh, so close.
So close.
Stairs.
right, well, this old girl's just begging to crush something, and believe it or not, I do not have that much junk around here to actually crush. But I did find this rusted out junk toolbox. Should be able to make that pretty flat. I felt nothing. Well, as you can see, she does her job. She rolls things nice and flat. Well, guys, I don't think we could call that anything other than a great success. Engine actually runs way better than I was expecting, and as you can see, forward and backward just fine. As I think I explained, the steering, well, if we were wanting to spend money on a hydraulic hose, we could get the steering working as well. I'm sure there's nothing else wrong with that system. We just can't keep any fluid in it. So it runs, it drives, it goes back and forth, it does compact the ground and whatever else you want to put in front of it. It does a good job, but Lord only knows I don't need another roller. There's a roller over there. There's another roller. That's another roller. Hiding underneath that pile of junk is yet another roller. Technically, it's actually a ditch compactor, but it has drums on it and it does roll, or at least it will one of these days when I get around to working on it again. And of course, you guys recognize the Ingersoll roller that we just fixed in a recent video. And I'm not digging through a Connex box to find it, but there's also another ditch compactor that I have in a Connex box over there behind Johnny Greatall. With all that in mind, maybe you can understand why we don't need this guy hanging around. It is my life's mission to save stuff like this from the scrapper, and in that regard, we have succeeded here. This thing runs and operates, and I am gonna send it off to greener pastures. I got a guy that I know from the Steam Show that wants to buy it, so we're gonna let him come down here and snag this thing up, and it can live out the rest of its days up at his place doing whatever they needed to do. So I guess that about wraps up this video. It has been a year in the making, so if you appreciated it, so if you would, tickle that little thumbs up button down below the video there. It really helps out the channel. Doesn't cost you guys a dime. If you would like to help support the channel in a little more direct way, you can head on over to dieselcreek.com, pick yourself up some sweet hats. We've got new t-shirts for summertime over there. We've got some lightweight zip-up hoodies that are also good for those chilly summer nights. All that and more over at the store. That's dieselcreek.com. Pick yourself up some sweet swag. You'll be glad you did. But that's all I got for today, guys. So as always, thanks for watching. I will catch you on the next one. Later.